Okay, I think I'm streaming now. Let me check. Mm. So, if I am streaming, then very soon my short film will premiere on this channel. Uh, so you should go and watch it. I hope. I hope you watch it. It took a lot of work to make this. Oh yeah, I can see myself now. I am streaming. 2 people watching. Great. Hello. Um, I might pause the stream or something when this film starts so that people can tune in to the premiere. Let me put in the description the link. Let's see. And then maybe we'll have a Q&A afterwards or something. That would be cool. Sorry if this is a bit dull in the beginning. I'm just trying to put the word out and everything. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm trying to be stoic about it. It's always a bit nerve-wracking bringing out a film that you've worked really hard on, that you've spent a lot of time making. And I just tell myself that I'll make more films. So if everything goes wrong with the premiere for some reason, people don't like the film or something, then it's not the end of the world. I'll make more films. I'll keep making films until I crack it. Yeah. Edit premiere. That's what I meant to do. Yeah. So I guess people will be watching the premiere in 6 minutes' time. We'll be watching the film, and then it should redirect people onto this stream. So, yeah, if you're on this stream right now, that's great. Thank you for tuning in. But I want us to all watch the film first, and then this stream will be like an after showing. Maybe I should put like TV Paint work in the background, because I will be drawing today. I have to keep drawing. Oh, I see the chat now. Yay. People are excited. I'm excited. Thank you, Pixels by K8702. Thanks for sticking around. and watching my stuff. It's really nice of you. I put the film premiere link in the description. So we've got about 4 minutes counting down until it begins. And it's if you watch the film, then you can help me boost the views, because I know it's ridiculous. I know it hurts me to have to play the YouTube game, but it's really important what happens in the first 48 hours of a video on YouTube. And then if it's successful, if there's viewership on the video in the first 48 hours, then maybe YouTube will push it out to more people, and then maybe it can have a substantial view count. So I appreciate anyone who tunes in to watch the film. Yeah, it took, well, I like to tell people it took 2 years. It probably took more than 2 years if I'm thinking about the amount of time I thought about it and the experiences that I collected about from surfing and traveling. And I was doing commissions at the same time, so I've been doing commissions as well. But it's the combination of a lot of work, and so it is kind of scary to see all of that just culminate in like one video, and you just hope that the video does okay. But it feels like the stakes are a bit higher when, you know, when it's that much work that goes into one video. Brian says you can't watch. I think you will be able to watch in 2 minutes. It's premiering at 6 p.m. in my time. I'm in Europe. How am I? I'm good. I'm good. How are you? J.S. Brower? Sorry if I got your name, if I didn't say it correctly. Let's just check up on this. Also, of course, I appreciate anyone who wants to share the film if you enjoyed it. Just send it to whoever you like, your family, your friends, and tell them, hey, you should check this out. Especially if there's someone you know who likes surfing, for example, or someone who you think they might enjoy it. And then we can spread the film, show people that 2D animation is alive and well. There's such a passionate community. It's not just me, there's a bunch of us. There's a passionate community around 2D animation filmmaking. So we want to signal that to people, show that you can make a film in today's age. And it takes work, it takes a lot of work, but it's achievable for anyone. I didn't have any particular advantage above anyone else. Okay, I think it's going to start. So, guys, if you're here, hop on over to the premiere. I'll put the link in the chat again. You don't have to see it live. You can also, it will just exist as a YouTube video after the live premiere. So it's okay if you're late to seeing it. You're from India? That's great. I've never been to India. I'd like to go. What an amazing place. Also a 2D animator. Can't wait to watch your film. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. Okay, something's happening on this stream. I'm gonna tune in to watch. I wonder if I can stream my stream. Window capture. Chrome. There we go. doing this on the fly. Ooh. Okay, sorry, I'm not great at streaming, but Yay! Yeah, it's the real G. Okay, I don't know if it will migrate people over now to this stream. I was thinking it would. Uh, let's just share that in the chat. How many impact frames are there? I think there's not that many. I like to hold back on the impact frames. I think there's one shot. I'll just start answering questions now. This shot, just before this, there's some impact frames here because I needed that to be quite a climax. I wonder if people are actually able to move over if they found it. Oh yeah, no, I've just checked this stream. Oh great. How am I going to do this with the chat? Because now I'm watching myself. Okay, I should have got my second monitor set up. That's fine. Okay, let me just. Thank you guys. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That's really. It's a bit of a relief, really. That's just some. I was just seeing a few comments with people saying they really like it. Wasn't expecting that twist in the story. Yeah, I got it. I got you. Good. I always like to, you know, I'm a bit like. I want to surpass your expectations or give you something you weren't expecting. I think that's a good way to like jog people out of their patterns of thinking and behavior. So I'm glad I was able to achieve it for some of you. I think for others maybe it was a bit obvious, but I was trying to. It was definitely a conscious thing where I'm aware of the fact of the folklore around sirens and yeah, these stories that get passed down, especially with sailing communities, about sirens that lure people down to the depths, mermaids are not to be trusted, stuff like that. And I wanted to play on that expectation and instead show that there's show something that's an alternative, which is that this this is kind of like an emissary of the sea, you know, like an envoy of the sea, and that envoy is in great distress because of the situation down there, and has no choice but to try and ask this person for help. Let me just see. Okay, nice. 38 people watching. That's great. The old 2D Disney movies. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely inspired by those movies. Things like Sinbad, I guess, are quite similar visually in some of the themes of the sea, of Eris. I didn't look at that directly, but I can see how it just kind of overlaps visually speaking. Yeah, I don't want to over-explain the movie either. So I do want to do a Q&A here, but I also don't want to over-explain anything because then it takes a bit of the fun out of it, you know? Let me just do that. That's a bit better. Okay. But yeah, like ask me anything you like and I'll see if I can ramble out an answer. Shanick says, I'm currently set up in a forest with my friends and we've set up a little forest camp watch party. Wow, that's amazing. Yo, guys, shout out to Shanick. Shanick D&B did an amazing job on the soundtrack. You know, think of the versatility because we open up with like a kind of heavy track, like to depict the action of the surf competition. And that stylistically is just very different from the orchestral stuff, the vocals, the choir. And, you know, he's just a very versatile producer that I've had the privilege of working with over many films now. We go way back. Wild Fur might have been our first collaboration. Yeah, I think it was Wild Fur. And that, you know, that was one where I just was like, can I use your remix? And then since then, we just stayed in contact. It's been a great partnership. We've also got in the chat, we've got Shishimaru. That's his. He's got the whale. No, not the whale. The dolphin icon, and he's seen a lot of this behind the scenes because I've been giving him shots where I've been like, man, I've got like 100 in betweens to go on this whale shot. Like the whale shot in particular was just the craziest shot, I think, because there's the net, the whale is rotating. I explored potentially 3D integration and I was like, no, I can't put 3D in this film. It will stick out like a sore thumb. I'm not competent enough to integrate 3D without it breaking the fourth wall. So we hand drew that net, like the net rotating around the whale. And am I in the... Yeah, I'm still going. And so, yeah, Shishimaru helped with a lot of the shots to in between. Also was helped in the coloring stage by Clad Even, who might be here lurking, I don't know. And Yanni did some of the style development, I would say. Like I was, especially with the girl, she drew the face in different ways, and that really helped me to become unstuck in my design phase. And then she went on to animate a few of the shots. So there's a few shots in there where you might see stylistically slightly different drawing style if you're paying close attention. And so some of the shots I gave to Yanni to animate, and she did a fantastic job. So, you know, I'm happy for the little team that came together. And a lot of that was, oh yeah, Dylan, if that's the Dylan I know, there's also Dylan worked on a couple of the shots. So I'm very lucky to have had people who came up to me and said, I heard you're making a film. Is there anything I can do to help? And I'm the kind of person where if someone offers to help, I'm not too proud to say no. I'm going to say, well, actually, now that you mention it, I have this shot here and it needs 100 in-betweens. Could you do 50 in-betweens? Do you have time to spare to do some in-betweens? Or do you have time to spare to do a bit of coloring? And that can mean a great deal in these shots where it's just a grind after a while. Like the excitement, the creative excitement is gone, and now it's just work. You know, like there's the fun honeymoon period where you're being really creative, and then there's the long tail end afterwards where it's just repetitive work for 2D hand-drawn animation. And that's where it really helps to have a community like what we have here, and to bring a few people on who, to them, when they receive the scene, they probably still get that little hit of euphoria of like, wow, this is really cool. I'm in this animated world, and I'm going to help to build it. So many hands make light work. Many hands make light work. Yeah. Sorry if I'm stuttering, and I'm not very good at doing these live. Normally with my videos, I edit them a lot. but I guess this is more realistic, you know, cinema verite. 2D camera work is super clean. Oh, thank you, thank you. What was your workflow schedule while working on the project? Like, how did you organize each other? So, as the main author of the film, it very much was like these different team members would, I would send out a little shot and they'd send it back to me, and I would bring it back into the TV Paint file. So that's how we collaborated. But my workflow and schedule was for a while I was traveling, and I was setting up for like a month here, 2 months there. For a while I was surfing in Bali, and that was for 2 months, I think. I was with Yanni, we were surfing in Bali and doing a little bit of surfing and then taking pictures, taking photographs of these wonderful waves, and then coming back to our place that we were staying at. And we just had I had a little XP pen, 16-inch, and I was animating there. For other parts, I was in Portugal. I did a little bit of work in the UK. No, actually, quite a lot of work in the UK and then in Austria as well. And we also did research trips in Cornwall, which is on the south coast of England. And I was also doing commissions. So I was doing commissions, and when someone's paying you to animate, you really have to just put that as a priority. So first priority is meeting the client's needs, and then once that's finished, wrapped up, then I immediately go back to work with Emersion. And it was getting to the point where I was kind of like, man, I could take on this commission and earn more money, but I really just want to get the film finished at this point. So there were periods of time where I was like, okay, I'm actually going to turn down clients just so that I can finish this film, because I've got to finish this film. Like the kind of phrase is like, if this film kills me, so be it, but I have to finish it. I can't have that. Like the more deep you go with a project, the more of a waste it would be to not finish it. So I was just hell-bent on finishing it, and that is the answer for how you finish a 2D short film. You have to be hell-bent on finishing it. So that's the mindset as well. And it's showing up every day, showing up whether you're finding it fun or not. Obviously, you do more work when you're finding it fun. You do more work when you're creatively inspired. That's the best time to make animation. But then also, you can't let a week go by without putting in, at least doing some in-betweens or something. Usually, once you've got the foundations there, there's always in-between work, which is just grunt work. It's quite easy, but it's just time-consuming. And you can do that whether you're feeling good that day or even if you're ill. Like, there's been days where I've been ill and I've just said, okay, I'll just do 10 in-betweens, you know? So I can do in-betweens even if I'm really distracted by life or something. The other more creative things like keyframing or storyboarding, that I need to be feeling good that day. So depends where I am in the project as well. Just watched the film, says Alexi122. Really like the film. Thank you very much. Ahmed Ali says, hi Howard, your store and drawing come from your amazing soul. Ah, thank you. I like drawing, but I lost my drawing soul. Oh no. And my hand does not recognize pen. Keep drawing, I wish you good luck. Well, you know, you're probably just rusty, you know? And it can take some time to shake off the rust. I do know the feeling, but, you know, even if there's something really simple that you can draw, to just find the fun in drawing again. Drawing is really therapeutic. Like I feel like my heart rate goes down when I'm drawing, you know, because it's like meditation, it's calming, and it's a crazy world out there. And sometimes we need a place where we can go, where we can just relax, you know. The other thing is that time when you're animating, you could be suspended in a single moment of time for a long time. And if that moment is a happy moment, then you're just feeling happy during that time. And that might be why I like to make happier films, or films with some kind of hope. You know, there's hope in the film. There's That's really important, because then when I'm in the film, I'm really in the character's mind. So it's important for me that there's some hope there. And you'll be experiencing that along with the characters. So you'll be experiencing it for a long time. You know, there's kind of like a time dilation, like like with Inception or one of these Christopher Nolan films. Yeah. Yeah, I like how the elemental is very powerful, representing the power of the wave. Yeah, yeah. So did this elemental create that wave to bring this guy down so that he could help, you know? Maybe. Or was it coincidence that the wave just looked like that? Was that more of a creative personification of the wave? You know, waves, if you've ever been caught up in a wave, it can be brutal. That's one of the things I wanted to capture with the film as well. This is actually the first inkling I had of an idea was going surfing and being spat out on the beach and looking out at the waves and being like, man, nobody told me before this that surfing is really hard. Like, make no mistake, I'm not a good surfer. I'm a complete novice surfer. But before I tried surfing, I was like, man, isn't it just like ukuleles and palm trees and it's chill, everyone's like having a good time? Maybe from the shore, maybe from the beach, but when you're out there with those waves, even if they're not much to look at, when you get up close to one of these waves, it's so intimidating. So that was one of the things I wanted to capture. I guess part of the message is that only we can fix some of the damage done. Right, yeah. So, you know, these are, another thing that inspired me to make this film was seeing multiple videos of whale encounters where the whale would come up to the surface to a boat or something, would approach a human, and would gesture to their tail fin or their one of their parts of their body where they've been caught up in a fishing net. And these are not natural problems. These are unnatural. They are human-made problems, and therefore I feel like not only is it our responsibility to help marine animals, not just whales, all manner of marine creatures. It's our responsibility to help, and also I think we're the only ones who can help. We are the ones who have created the Pacific Garbage Patch. About 50% of the Pacific Garbage Patch is made of fishing nets. Okay, that's what binds all of this garbage together in the sea. And fishing nets, it's not plastic straws that are the main killer of marine life, it's fishing nets by the fishing industry. Right? And that's not what they want you to hear, but that is true, right? So it's about our consumption of fish. You might have noticed in the contest, the tournament, the surf tournament, that it was sponsored by a made up company called Tunico, right? So it's a fishing company that sponsors these events, which is an example of, like, I guess you could call it greenwashing, where it's a bit like how, like, the tobacco industry funds health research, right? They do it to clean up their image, to clean up their brand image. So not only is there like a entanglement physically in the film, but there's also in the background, if you notice, like there's the tuna can, right? That is drifting along the bottom of the ocean. So there's also this entanglement of intentions and virtues and things. I think a lot of people who live near the coast have a respect for the sea, but then what happens when you go to a surf competition, which is actually a vehicle for a big fishing company to clean up their brand image, right? You know, that it gets a little bit problematic for these people. So, but I didn't want to make that too direct. You know, it's kind of speaking in metaphors with some of these things, because I want you to figure it out. You know, and an intelligent viewer hopefully can piece this together themselves and form their own opinion. You know, it is very much trying to create a discussion. It's not trying to be the final word on something. Maybe it is, I don't know, but obviously I have my opinions and I can't help but bring those opinions to a film. But, you know, it should provoke some of these discussions, hopefully. Ronald Yoshio6348 said, I loved the water animations, of course, but how you captured the movements under the water, it feels really accurate. Amazing work. Thank you very much. Yeah, one of the difficulties of underwater shots and environments is that everything moves very slowly and everything's always moving. You know, the current is always pulling someone. They're having to tread water, and in which case they would have to do this, right? Sometimes he's walking along the bottom, but people who are underwater in that thick substance, they have a different way of moving, which involves kind of pushing the water behind them, right? So I had to kind of revisit things like how someone walks underwater. They don't walk like they do on land. So people, yeah, you're right. People have a different way of moving underwater, and it's always slow, which is difficult for frame-by-frame animation. There couldn't be any jolty movements. It had to be slow and surreal, which is tough. And it had to be smooth as well. So a lot of stuff was on 2s, which is about 12 frames per second. I couldn't go that much lower on that. So tough challenge. My next film, I will not make it underwater. I've had enough of animating water, like the problems that come from animating a film underwater. I don't want to do it for a while. I was saying all along, I'd rather be animating a desert, you know, like desert, the easiest thing in the world, you know, you just got these flat plains, not very much detail. Someone walks and moves normally, you can just have them stand there, have a nice tasteful composition, and it looks wonderful. And you didn't have to do much in the way of drawing. So maybe my next film will be in a desert, who knows. Although I'm working on some other films, of course. I've always got a project in the works, but I won't speak on that too soon. Thank you, Elvis Kariuki. How did you come up with this idea with these characters, says J.S. Barua. Yeah, so it was a combination of a few things. One of them was my direct experience of trying to learn to surf and thinking, why is this so hard? Like, nobody told me that this would be so difficult. So just wanting to capture the experience. So my first draft of this was just a guy going out to surf and getting tossed around by the ocean, like with no plot. Like, that was it, just the experience and the rushing water sounds. That was my first vision of the film. And then I started to connect that with these videos of whales caught in nets. Maybe I can actually bring one up if I look for it. We can have a look at one. There's a number of videos where, and to people's credit, when they see this stuff, like when a whale comes to visit and they have a problem like this, I've seen in most of the cases they're successful. Like, the people will come along and they will successfully rescue one of these whales. Look at this. So this stuff really happens. So it's important for a film, well, for me, like when I make a film, I think it's important for it to have some semblance of reality. Like there's something that it's evoking that is grounded in what's really happening, or what really happened if it's historical. That's an important thing for me. Let's see if there's more footage of this. So normally a whale would probably mind their own business, but this whale came up to the boat and signaled for help. And I think this is part of the start of this understanding that these creatures, we're not so different from them. Like, we would probably do a similar thing in their situation. And yeah, they're not able to speak English. They're not able to speak our language. Whales have their own language, and they're by no means stupid. You know, they live a different life to us in a different biome. But I think we have a lot of similarities. And of course, you know, part of me was like, should I depict thousands of different sea creatures in this film? But partly out of like a practical need, and partly because I thought it represented marine life well, I just went with the biggest. You know, I went with the sperm whale, which is one of the biggest sea creatures ever. But the sperm whale really represents all manner of different sea creatures, right? Because it's not just whales that get caught up in these nets. It's every marine creature you can think of is affected by these problems, right? Look at this. There's another one. So you'll see a lot of these videos. If you look, you know, you'll get recommended more of them, and they're really, you know, they're touching. They're very. It's amazing when they successfully cut them free. But you have to also think, why are they like that in the first place? Like, how did they get like that? That it's a systemic problem, which is just rampant extraction of these sea creatures. You know, it's us kind of plundering a different biome to us. Look at this. Oh my God. I mean, it's thrilling, isn't it? So this was like really inspiring to me to see this kind of thing. And this is like the character arc that I'm getting at, which is, it's kind of like my journey. You know, it's a little bit autobiographical in that I'm someone who's now waking up to some of these problems that have been there for years in the making, like decades. And, you know, for us as young men and young women, but when we're reaching adulthood, we start finding out these problems. And then it can, some people, they just go back to their ordinary lives. But for others, it really shifts the whole way that they look at the world, and it changes their priorities, right? So in the beginning of the film, you know, if I refresh this. Okay, so in the beginning of the film, you know, he's really set on this trophy, right? It's established that he's right in line with the trophy. And it's like, this guy likes to win. I can identify a lot with him, you know, in the beginning, because that was me in my early 20s, you know. And then by the end of the film, he's won. Like, he won the trophy, but he looks at it, and then he looks away from the trophy, and he looks back at the ocean. And sometimes that's all you need to do as an animator. Just, what are people looking at, you know? And that change in what he's looking at is just shows that he's looking away from the trophy, and he's thinking more about the bigger picture. He's thinking more about, he's now seen what's going on that he hadn't seen before. So yeah, I don't want to over-explain it though. I'm very conscious to not over-explain it, although I'm failing with that, but that's okay. You guys are the special little group that is here, and I'm glad that we've got this little Q&A going. How did you? Oh, that's a good question, Stefan Sharkov. How did you condense a rich story in under 5 minutes? Really, part of that is down to necessity. Like, I don't feel like right now with my style, you know, with hand drawing every frame, I didn't feel like I could go beyond 5 minutes. So if I wanted to tell a story, I had to contain it within that size. And a lot of the struggle is compacting down. Now, what that looks like is looking through every single shot in your film and assessing whether it needs to be there. If it didn't need to be in the film, it got thrown out. I had storyboards, I had even things I had taken to rough animation stage, and then I realized I don't need to do this shot. The film works without this shot. So some of them were scrapped. And it's that, you know, you got to be really ruthless with your edit, and that's how you do it, you know. And that way you can, hopefully you can tell a story without having a massive runtime, and it will be more, like you said, more rich as a result of that, you know, because you're not putting in unnecessary shots. And the other thing is, and I did this with Encounter as well, the character doesn't necessarily change, you know. The character is just that, it's just at that little point in life where it's a turning point in that character's life. So I don't have to show a montage of him, you know, becoming a marine activist or whatever, you know, or like, you don't have to show the transformation. You just show that one inflection point in someone's life. That's something it took a while for me to figure out, to learn for short storytelling, is that it's about that single moment of change, which changes the trajectory of someone's life and their future. And that's what I'm interested in as a storyteller, because that's where I can really, like, that's the juicy stuff to me, you know? What was the moment which made you change? You know, that's something that I'll ask people from time to time when I'm talking to them. What will you do next? Says Shirnik. I'm making more films. You know, right now I'm working on a commission for a client, having some fun with that, and but that's, you know, that's going to be in a documentary film. I've worked on a couple of documentaries this year, and normally I'm just brought in to do like the small cinematic segment, or where they couldn't realistically film something for the documentary, so they bring me in. But yeah, I've got other films that I want to work on, and hopefully they're all films that are going to provoke some thoughts. You know, this is something I want to do: provoke discussion, provoke thought. My favorite kind of films are the kind of films where, yeah, they might be fun while you're watching them, but later on, after you're coming home from the cinema, you're in the car with your friends, and you're talking. You know, you're talking about a subject that you wouldn't normally talk about. You know, and it's getting you to think differently, or it's getting you to re-examine a part of your life, or a part of who you are, and that's just, the possibilities are endless. So every film I want to do that from now on. Sometimes I'll have, like, you know, with the, like, some of my things is just an outlet, you know, it's just like a way for me to express something, and that's fine as well. But with something like this, where it's really like, I'm really trying to build something that I'm proud of. That's one of the key ingredients it has to have. Yeah. Thank you, JS, for yeah, it's yeah, he's thinking, man, did that really happen? Yeah, and that's like, yeah, like by the end of the film, he's thinking, what? You know, I landed back on my board, and it is one of those things where, yeah, you can think afterwards, like, did that really happen, or was that happening in my mind? And even if it did not actually happen, like, let's say he just took a tumble in the waves, he hallucinated a bunch for some reason, there's something in the water that made him hallucinate the whole thing, and then he comes to, and he's on his board, and he's on the winning wave of the surf competition. that's still a great story, you know, whether it's real or not, it's still something that would make you think, right? Like sometimes we have crazy dreams that change how we think. That we have these dreams where we have an epiphany in the dream, and we wake up and oh well, normally we forget our dreams seconds after we wake, but you know, he didn't forget, and yeah, did it happen? Did it not? Does it even matter? You know? Um, yeah. To get to talk to your audience after having something that big, I would personally give you a trophy for that. Well, yeah, thank you, Wave. I can't read your name. Werven, sorry. Um, yeah, you know, this is what I love about movies. You know, I should do a live stream or something. You know, I've been thinking about setting up a second channel or something for making like just reviews of movies. But this is something I always want to do after watching a film, even if it's my own film. Apparently, is to talk about films as well. You know, I love the post film chat. You know, and of course, it's also serves a purpose. I want to promote the film now that it's out here in the world. But yeah, it's great talking to you guys about the film and about the way that this film is connected to other things. You know, this film didn't just spring into my mind all of a sudden. I gathered things. You know, I traveled around to different countries in the world, and I I was carrying this film with me. You know, the film was like a something on my shoulder. You know, that I would look at occasionally and consult. And you know, I'd see a building or something, and the work in progress film is on my shoulder. And I said, "What do you think of that?" You know, and the film would have something to say. The film would have an opinion. You know, so it's something you carry with you for a while, and that's kind of the process of it becoming more rich. You know, you're trying to gain that richness, whether it's visually or themes or in the little performances, the little nuances. And not all of this stuff is my specialty. You know, I could get better at all of the different aspects of filmmaking, but you know, I'm not someone who's going to wait around until I'm great at background art, great at character design, great at like you know, character animation. I'm not going to just wait, or like even you know, water effects animation. Some of this stuff really was daunting when I was thinking like, how am I going to animate this wave and animate it to look reflective? Crazy. Like, but I'm not going to wait until I'm a master at these things, because that will be too late. I'll be like an old man by the time I've mastered these things. You got to just jump in with both feet and think about what you're making, and don't be, yeah, that'd be my other advice, is like, don't be afraid to be deep. Um, because yeah, I mean, people can sometimes roll their eyes at like a pretentious film or whatever, but that's, you know, that's what really drives the medium forwards, and that's what really stands the test of time. It's like you gotta be okay with trying to be deep, you know, because you might underestimate yourself and what you actually have to offer in terms of ideas, in terms of style, and all the other aspects of a film. Yeah, Ghibli Water. I mean, yeah, I did watch a few scenes from Ponyo while I was making this, and I was like, man, I underappreciated Ponyo before, like just how well they captured the water surface. Like it's such an advanced film from an animation point of view. Like I didn't fully appreciate it the first time I watched Ponyo. They are masters of, yeah, of animation at Studio Ghibli. Nothing but awe. I'm just, you know, in their shadow. Every animator is in their shadow, but you know, that's fine, because it's still. I wouldn't want to live in a world where only Studio Ghibli is making 2D animations, right? It's also important that the rest of us are contributing our voices to animation, even though it feels at times like, oh, we're just eclipsed by the shadow of Ghibli, but that's not true. It's all valuable. Let's see. How long have I been chatting for? Hopefully I've been chatting for a long time because my voice is starting to feel it. Okay, I've been going for an hour. How long should a film take to create from start to finish? For me, it takes a minimum of 1 month to create a 1 minute short. That's a really. I'm glad you said the amount there, because I would have to say that is a good amount of time. 1 month to create 1 minute short. If you do that and you take 2 months off per year, you'll have 10 short films per year. That's good. That's really good. I mean, that's just if you were to like have 10 ideas and you can just one after another make them. We know it doesn't work that way, really. Like art's creative process doesn't work that way. But I would say that's a really good thing to aim for. And that's the other thing. Like, it's kind of your choice. Like, there's a phrase in traveling where it doesn't matter what size your rucksack is, you're always going to fill it. So if you have a 90-liter rucksack, you're going to fill it. If you have a 20-liter rucksack, you're going to fill it. So it's really about, how long do you want, like how much animation do you want to make? And of course there is a trade-off. Animating, and that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to finish this film. For one thing, I was trying to be a bit of a perfectionist. This was something I'd really staked a lot in. At first, my first aim was to make it in 6 months. And it just didn't happen like that. It didn't come about like that. And part of that is choosing the environment, having it set with waves and water and wanting that water to look fairly realistic, wanting it to look shiny, wanting the waves to look a bit translucent, and having all of these like Sakuga shots, for want of a better word. That comes at a trade-off if you're just a solo filmmaker. Whereas, like I said before, if you've got a guy standing in the desert, you can do that very easily without making many drawings. So yeah, of course, my answer is always going to be it depends. But for me, my focus now, and it is because this film took so long. It took so long for me to make this film. 2 years. We'll just say it's 2 years that it took for me to make this film. Now my focus is on more output, faster output, and not perfecting everything. Like, I'm gonna make imperfect films, but hopefully good enough to get the message out. And I've been doing that recently. Like, I've made another film called Ember. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and it took me 10 days. 10 days to make over 1 minute of animation with Ember. And you'll see, if you watch that film, you see that it's not as fully rendered. It doesn't have, like, it's just got 2 colors. It's got orange and blue for the whole film. And, but that's fine. It was still communicating the story okay. And some would even argue that because of those limitations, it's a more visually distinguished film, right? Because of that limited color palette. So, it's not always that faster films are worse films. Sometimes these constraints are what make the film so special. And that's why when you have you have the first movie, and then its sequel has like triple the budget, but it just doesn't have the same heart, doesn't have the same character. And sometimes that's because they've got a big budget now. So they don't have those same constraints that made it so special before. Ronald says that I feel like you would end up making some very difficult desert shots, though. That, you have a point there. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not entirely about the environment that you choose your film to be in. It's a factor. It's also about the standards you're happy with. and letting go of perfectionism, that is like such a craft, to be able to not take something to be perfect, but just to the point where it communicates something effectively, and leaving the audience to imagine certain things for themselves, right? Engage the audience in their own imagination at times. That's something I would have done that differently with this film, but no, I wouldn't have done anything differently with this film. I stand by it. uh, I have watched the Star Wars Visions short created by Shinya Ohira. I watched it at Annecy Festival, actually, so I saw it on the big screen cinema. Um, I mean, that guy is such a powerhouse of an animator. Like it's crazy. I think he's the only animator in the world who can make things move in the way that he does, with that kind of sense of hyperrealism. I mean, there's a few that come close, but yeah, that guy is a hero of mine for sure. He's my favorite Japanese animator, Shinya Ohira, from a technical standpoint. Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Werven, for watching Ember. Let's see. Have I missed anyone's chat? Yeah, Ponyo is fully hand-drawn too, incredible, but if you watch the credits, it's also hundreds of people on the team. Yeah, exactly. You know, they've got, by this point, they've got the momentum to really bring on the best animators in the world. I mean, I was just talking about Shinya Ohira. Ohira has had some shots in numerous Ghibli films, like in The Wind Rises, in Howl's Moving Castle. He has these very specific shots that he's brought in for where his style is used extremely effectively. So yeah, like Ghibli it is the Japanese equivalent economically, is the Japanese equivalent of Disney, and it just so happens they're also very inspired by Disney's films. Um, but yeah, uh, hundreds of people, you know, and that's why if you're an indie filmmaker, you have to kind of understand that that you don't have hundreds of people at your disposal. You don't have that kind of manpower. So you've got to be smart. You've got to be smart. And this is sometimes something that clients don't understand. It's sometimes something that audience members don't understand. That, like, watch the credits of a film. If it's one person who's done the majority of the work, cut them a little bit of slack. Okay, they don't have the same kind of resources at their disposal, the same kind of hours. And that's why people say that feature animation, like animating a feature film, it's got to be a team effort. It can't be, unless you're someone who wants to spend 30 years making a feature film, which respect if you are. But really, it's a team effort at that scale. But short films, I feel like any of us can make a short film by ourselves, you know? I think it's very achievable to make a 5-minute short film if you're patient enough, if you don't lose hope, you know? I've got nothing better to do. Like, there's nothing I'd rather be doing than telling stories through short film, through animation as a medium. Like, that's just what I want to be doing here. If I won the lottery, I'd spend it all making short films, or I'd spend it all on a feature film. But I'd be making films. That's how I'd blow all the money, you know. And that question is very important. It's like, what would you want to be doing if money wasn't a problem? And yeah, there's no place I'd rather be than making animations, you know. So yeah, so Hussein does animation says, in the animation process there comes a point where you've been working on a project for so long that you start questioning the idea. Yeah, I've been there so many times, man. So many times. You start getting doubts. Do you experience that too? Yeah, absolutely. You become a bit blind to. I was in that stage for this film for sure, and I've been in that for almost every other film that I've ever made. And that's when you're at that point, it helps to just show it privately to someone that you know. you know, and just don't feed them what reaction they should give. But when you see them light up, when you see them compliment certain things, when you see, oh, I understand that, oh, I can relate to that, things like that. If they make these little comments, you're like, okay, I'm not going insane. It's a sanity check. So there are stages along the way in a film production that I've learned that it's important to get people's feedback. Now, sometimes people will look at a work in progress film and they'll just be confused. Like they won't even know, they won't understand the story, but they usually have something positive to say. And it's just good to get their opinion and just to know that you're not going insane. Just to know that, okay, this is communicating what I want it to communicate. This is this person who I've shown it to, they are invested in the story, you know? They're thinking, oh, is he going to get up to the surface in time, or is he going to run out of air? You know, you want to hear that from someone so that you know, like, okay, right, that thing that I've been constructing, it's working. And the longer your film production, the more important that is to bring people on. That's the importance of deadlines, says Keyframes Clips. Parkinson's law is that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Yes, yeah. And yeah, exactly. I didn't mention deadlines, but you're absolutely right. If you have small deadlines along the way to your larger deadline, that's going to break it up into more manageable chunks. So also, like, I think that it's okay for you to be, the creator, to be the one choosing the deadlines, but it's even better if you have an external deadline. So for me, I wanted to submit my film to film festivals. And those film festivals have hand-in deadlines. They have deadlines by which you have to submit the film. Perfect. Because that was like, okay, I got to finish it by February 15th, otherwise I missed the deadline. And that was the day that I actually finished the film, was February 15th, which I know is a long time from now. But that's because this film has been showing at film festivals, you know, on the big screen in cinemas around Europe. So that's why there's been such a delay. And I know some of you who have been keeping track and following have probably thought at times, like, is this film ever going to be released? Like, what is going on? And yeah, believe me, it's been agony to wait that long. But yeah, I just decided at this point, like, it's been in a lot of film festivals now. It's still got some to go, and hopefully they don't mind that it's now public. But I don't think I wanted to wait around any longer, because I think it needs to be out there. You know, people need to see it. And I need to move on, you know. I need to start, you know, thinking of other ideas and not be thinking about, oh, I've got to release Emersion, I've got to release this film. Like, I want to have it out there, you know. It belongs with the people, you know. So yeah. Well, it didn't get into Annecy, Dylan. So yeah, they didn't accept it, but you can't really be surprised. I mean, Annecy is one of the most, I think it is the most popular animation festival in the world, and they get thousands and thousands of entries, so it's easy for films to not quite make it to that bar, or to just not be what they're looking for. Because I go to Annecy every year, and the films, there's a certain type of film that Annecy is very interested in. It's a little bit more in the avant-garde direction, perhaps. And it's less about, like, you know, what these kind of conventional films, you know, because mine's a conventional story. It's not reinventing how stories are told. It's got a character who wants something, who learns something, you know. That's very conventional storytelling. So, you know, they're looking for innovative films that kind of completely break down what it is to be a film, you know. And that's not this film. I'm working within the parameters of conventional storytelling, because that's what I love. You know, I love, like, the kind of films that I love are things like Lord of the Rings, you know, The Matrix, these are conventional stories. They're not super avant-garde. They might have like a little element to them that's innovative, but they're a really good time to watch, and that's what I want. No, it's all right. Yeah, I did go to Annecy anyway. I don't I go to Annecy just as a film enthusiast. So I was there anyway. Do I use TV Paint for all my work? Yes, TV Paint. I love TV Paint. I'm friends with the TV Paint crew. They're a lovely small team of people who really, I'd say, they really care about animators and artists, and yeah, I think they're fantastic people, and yeah, big fan. But I'm also, it's not just because I like them as people. I also think the software is excellent. So um, that's why I teach my courses mainly in TV Paint, a little bit of Flash for beginners as well. But yeah, TV Paint is the one that I recommend. So that's what you'll find on animatorguild.com. I've gone a long time without plugging that actually. But yeah, if you want to learn how to animate and the more detailed process, I've got hundreds of videos that walk you through exercises that can teach you how to animate in this kind of way with hand drawn 2D animation. And that's on animatorguild.com. So I will put it in the chat actually, just in case you haven't, if you're unaware of it, which people might, I don't know. But yeah, that's it's also a great source of reference with Motion Labs. So okay, so Hussein says, how do you manage the stress of deadlines though? I just constantly feel like I'm falling behind with my deadlines. Yeah, I mean, I guess like deadlines are a part of life. And I guess really you got to pick a deadline that's doable, like that's manageable. That's the first thing. If you pick unrealistic deadlines, you're going to be stressed all the time with your whole life. So if something is just not achievable without sacrificing your health, you should change the deadline. You should move it forwards if you made a mistake. But you should have deadlines, because without a deadline, it's probably not going to get finished, you know? And I extended my deadline twice for this film. And, you know, it ended up dragging on way longer than it probably needed to. But, you know, that's the reality sometimes. Sometimes you gotta overextend your deadline. If something is just way bigger, way more difficult than you thought it would be. I've got to say though, while it did take me a long time to make Immersion, I was like a marathon runner. I was like steady pace, just steadily just working on it, and I wasn't stressed as I was animating. I animated just as fast or as slow as I wanted to, as I felt like it. And that I'm kind of proud of, that I didn't get stressed during production. I managed my emotions, I think, quite well through Immersion, but it took me 2 years, so you know, not great. Then again, you know, I made a 24-hour short film this year as well for Agora community. That's I made a video about that, and that's worth watching, you know, because that was the whole animation production just packed into 24 hours. And yeah, it got a bit stressful towards the end, you know. It was a little bit stressful, but because it was over so quickly, that stress didn't mean much, you know. Yeah, you shouldn't live your whole life under stress and deadlines. Like maybe it's that you set your deadline, and then before you set another deadline, you chill. You know, you take weeks off so that you don't have any pressure. Because otherwise, if you just living deadline to deadline, you're not going to be living a good life, and you'll be putting some important things on hold in your life. Like if you ever wanted to like for me, I play musical instruments, like I play guitar, if I'm in a deadline, I don't play any guitar. And that means if I'm living deadline to deadline, I'll never pick up the guitar again, you know? And that's a shame because it's something I only do when I don't have imminent danger of going past my deadline. Okay. So anyway, I think hopefully I'll give you something to think about there. Let's see. Oh, that's a good phrase actually. Road to heaven always feels like hell. I haven't heard of that one, but that's a good one. I might end up using that in something. Thanks. What do you do when sometimes due to emotional/personal problems takes your focus away on certain days in your life and you can't work with focus nor any good results? And if you do, it frustrates you more. Yeah, that sounds pretty tough. I mean, it's my opinion that mastering art and mastering filmmaking is really mastering life itself, you know? It's about mastering yourself in a way. Because, and I don't think artists get enough credit for this. On the one hand, you have to be stoic and you have to be like unmovable, unshakable in your emotions, in your state of mind, your state of being, so that you turn up regularly and consistently. But on the other hand, you have to be really sensitive to things around you. You have to pick up on things. You have to be observant, and you have to feel just like your character in your film is feeling. So these are two difficult things to hold at the same time, right? Be stoic, immovable, unshakable, but also be super sensitive. And that is difficult. And that's why I say that it's about more than just can you draw faces at different angles, right? It's about more than that. Oh yeah, how's your line control? Yeah, that's part of it. Learning perspective, yeah, sure, that's some of the technical stuff. But you can have all of that stuff and still not make a lot as an artist if you haven't mastered life, and you're not on that path to mastering yourself. I shouldn't say mastering life. I should say self-mastery. Being the best version of yourself, being in control. To the point where you have energy and creativity to spare. The best artist is a generous artist, someone who's got a lot to give the world, a lot to offer. And that can also mean accumulating interesting things, but yeah, that's my measure of a good artist, is an artist with a lot to say and a lot to share and a lot to give others. Generosity is the key. So yeah, sometimes we got to get out of our own way. Sometimes I've got to get out of my own way. Like with my perfectionism tendency, is an example. Like if I'm too much of a perfectionist, you're going to see less films from me and you're going to enjoy less films from me. And so I have to get out of my own way. I have to say, this isn't about my perfectionism. I have to ignore that so that I can hit upload on this film and so that you can watch it. I can't be like a dragon, like hoarding these ideas and stuff to myself. That's not the measure of a good artist. Anyway, a bit rambly, but yeah, it's a tough one. It's not easy to do. I'll just answer a few more questions, and then I think I'm gonna have some dinner, which will let's see. How did you manage your time between professional and personal work? Oh yeah, like I said, professional work, usually when that comes along, and I say yes to it, that usually takes priority. I like to give clients all of me during the time that they book me for, or during a project with them. I don't like to hold anything back, and so I feel like if I was doing my short film on the side while working for them, I'm not actually giving them all of my creative effort and my abilities. So while the client's project is going on, I just do that. Unless they're like, sometimes if a client is like unresponsive for a week, then I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna start drawing on my passion project while you take a long time to get back to me, because you can't just put your life on hold while they're not responding to your email and stuff. So, but most of the time, when a client is involved, when the client is in the picture, I'm just working, and then, I just can't wait to get back to the film, and yeah, patience. It's real. I do see a lot of animators struggling with that, the patience. And if you are someone who wants to be a commercial animator, you have to understand that as a commercial animator, you won't be working on your own stuff all the time. Like, you'll have to put it to one side for months at a time while you're working for a client. Yeah. Thanks for your feedback. Oh yeah, no problem, MK. Empowering Art Studios. Hiya, do you have experience with applying for animation residencies or grants in the UK or abroad? I almost did at one point. I know people who have applied to the Animation Workshop, which is an artist residency, and actually, I was even talking to one of the people who, like one of the staff at the Animation Workshop, and he was a really nice guy, and he was very encouraging. And if you're an artist, they want to bring artists in to live there and to make animations there, and I think it's a wonderful experience. I mean, the fact that there are these subsidized programs where you can live sometimes for free at a place like Animation Workshop and develop an original concept for an animation, what's the downside? Like, what do you have to lose? The only thing is you have to be at a particular time of your life where maybe you're not employed yet. Like, you don't maybe you don't have momentum in your career, and maybe you've just finished education, and so it's for people at that particular point in their life. But I would say if you are at that point, go for it. It's a really good idea to get an artist residency, especially if it's subsidized, so it won't cost you anything, and because it becomes harder when you get to like my age. I graduated university quite a while ago now, and it gets really hard to make original films, animated films, because you got to make money. You got to pay for rent and gas and food and electricity, right? And you got to do that and also make original films for people. It's tough. It's really, really tough to do that. So if let's say you're living even at home, like you're living with your parents or something, if you don't have to pay rent, that make the most of that kind of time, or if you're a school kid and you're doing like a school holiday, like a summer holiday, and it's a big stretch of time, like a month and a half to do whatever you want, man, don't waste that time. That's a golden opportunity right there. I remember going into summer break when I was a student, and I would just be like, right, I'm making a film. Like, by the end of summer, the film will be done. And yeah, that's what I recommend. Recognize the opportunities that you have right now at this point in your life, and don't waste them, because you might look back on this time and be like, why didn't I use that time more effectively? Why did I just, mope around during that time when I should have put that time to good use? We don't have long on this earth, you only live once. We don't have that long, so make say what you want to say. Make the film you've always wanted to make. Make your dream project. Start with your dream project. Make that one first, and then the smaller ones you can maybe make them afterwards. Let's see. Did you ever think about documenting any of your process whilst working on the film? Yes, and I have, and you'll see more of them. Actually, I'm gonna be bringing out more material to do with this film. You'll get to see behind the scenes. I've actually done like 4 quadrants of the screen where you'll see in the top corner you'll see my sketchbook and the drafts in my sketchbook. Then you'll see how they went to the storyboard, and then the rough animation, and then the final animation. So in each of the 4 corners. And that's going to drop maybe a week from now or 2 weeks from now. And I think that gives a lot of insight into the process and how it evolved. You see those drawings evolve from each step of the process. So there's stuff like that to look forward to. And I've been doing these mobile shorts, and they've been getting views from people. I don't know if that will translate into anything, but yeah, people are seeing these shorts where I'm showing a little bit of behind the scenes process. Oh, for sure. I'm if you've been subscribed to my channel, you know that I'm always trying to. I've always got my screen recording, for one thing, and then I edit that into videos with voiceover commentary, and that's just what I like to do because I also like to watch behind the scenes of my favorite films. So I try to provide that as well. I think it's fun. It's fun to see how a film was made and what the director was thinking and stuff like that. So that's why I try to provide that as well. Would you consider working together in a project with your community? Yeah, I would consider that. Although I think, I've seen animators like Adam Phillips do that. I was a student in his effects course, and he did a film like that, and he had this big spreadsheet, and it just looked like a lot of organizing. And I don't know, because when you actually try to do a multi-animator project where you're telling a narrative, it's difficult because you've got all these different styles, and how do you tie them together? And people are working on different software to each other. It's actually logistically very difficult to do, unless you're doing like a map project, a multi-animator project where everyone just has a timeline section of a certain music video, and they just do whatever they want for their little slot, and you string them all together. But anything which is getting into the actual layers of an animation, like animatic, backgrounds, animation, in-betweens, you've got to think about continuity, you've got to think about software compatibility and stuff like that, and it gets pretty difficult. And I don't want to spend my time just being a producer. I understand that we've got to wear multiple hats as animators, and we've got to sometimes put on our producer hat, but I don't want to just always be a producer, because then I don't get to draw much. So I guess that's kind of one of my reasons why I haven't done something like that yet. But I think it would be great. I think it would be really fun to do. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Getting a lot of positivity in the chat. Thank you. Get your community to organize it. Yeah, maybe that's the key. Is just, yeah, maybe I'm imagining myself doing all of that by myself, and maybe you're right. Maybe that's not necessary. You need a project manager? Yeah, I do. So yeah, I think I might do that. We'll see, because I've got a lot of things in the works. I've got a lot of ideas. We've got so many things. For one thing, one of the reasons that some things have been on hold in Animator Guild is because of the website. There's been trouble with the website, so we've actually rebuilt the website with Capercube, Eric Kalpin. He's been helping me to just rebuild the whole site from scratch, and we're going to make that switch over at a certain point, hopefully this month or next month. And yeah, that's just meant that I haven't been able to roll out as many updates when it comes to things like the contest and stuff. But I'm really hoping that that will be implemented soon. And then you'll see even more of me. You'll see more community activities like the contest, like new reference packs, and so much more. So much more. So, um, anyway, I want to say thank you again, guys. I want to say thank you to everyone in the credits, which if you go into the okay. If you go onto the film, in the description, there's the credits. So it's a small team that helped me, and they deserve a lot of praise because they really did it because they were passionate about this with me, and they saw what I was trying to do, and they wanted to help in a small way, and I really appreciate that. It was amazing to work with each of them. And yeah, and if I haven't said your name and you've helped, I'm sorry, but I will also be talking to you in person, and so they're, they're in the description of the film. And thank you guys for watching as well. I hope that you feel like maybe you can share it with someone in your life. Just say, check out this cool animation, and that would be helping me out. I feel like I need a break. Like I need to catch a break with YouTube because my videos has just not been getting a lot of views, and I kind of knew like coming into this that it's going to be tough for a short film on YouTube in 2025 to pick up any traction from my channel because my channel, I don't know what YouTube is thinking behind the scenes, but none of my subscribers really, very few of my subscribers see my videos anymore. So I don't want to make this into like some kind of sob story, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in, that's for sure, and thank you. So I'm going to end the stream there. It's been good talking to you guys. You're probably tired of hearing my voice by now. My voice is tired. I'm going to go and eat something. And yeah, catch you in the next one, in the next video or stream or something. Oh yeah, and also I've got a Discord group. So if any of you aren't on Discord, let me just share that with you. Because I'm on there, I'm a regular, I'm on there all the time on Discord. So let me just put the link in the chat. And I'm serious, you can just come in, and I'm often drawing or something, and you can be part of that little community we've got there. All right. Oh, thanks, Scott. Yeah, that's so appreciated that you're like just actively looking up my channel to see if there's new videos. That's great. I do that for some of my favorite creators as well. That's really appreciated. It's unfortunate that you need to do that. Ideally YouTube would show you these things, but yeah. Anyway, I better head off. Thank you. Thank you. I'll now not talk for a day because my voice is tired.